Hello, I'm a nerd. And that's awesome! But what is a nerd, exactly?
Apparently this is a nerd. Damn, that's a bit harsh, dictionary.com. Cheeky bastards. Let me see if I can find another one. Here we go. Much better. Nerd. Adjective nerdy is a descriptive term often used pejoratively, indicating that a person is overly intellectual, obsessive, or lacking social skills.
This may be a better term, but it's still mostly negative. In this day and age, I see it as not as much of a bad thing as it was to be a nerd, and to indulge yourself in stuff like video games, geeky shows, all that good stuff. But what if I told you that everyone is a nerd in some sense? But not in the social aspect, I'm talking about the obsessive and intellectual categories. One person's hobbies, no matter what they are, could reflect nerdiness in some aspect. Don't believe me? Well, let me analyse two things and show you how similar they are, even if one of them is a nerdy thing to enjoy but the other is not. Let's talk about Pokemon first. Pokemon is a franchise that has so many abbreviated phrases, has so much fucking living, breathing mechanics. It would take a lot of time to get into because of how complicated it can be to do these certain things. A lot of nerdy shit going on here. Now let's compare that to football, another game, but have you ever heard someone be called a nerd because they play football? Probably not. Football is a two-team sport where the one team has to score more points than the other by shooting into the opposition's goal. A fairly simple game without all its rules. So you have the offside goal, you have free kicks, you have red cards, yellow cards, a lot of living, breathing mechanics that make the game fairer and, just more entertaining to watch. Now you're probably saying, but Brandon, every goddamn game needs to have rules and most games are skill and strategy based. Yeah, that's true. I'll give you that. But, if you're a nerd like me, have you ever heard of the Pokemon metagame? It's where a person will create a team of 6 Pokemon and battle out with other people using different tier groups, like there's Ubers, which is like the strongest Pokemon, OU, which is overused, NU, never used, no, UU, underused, never used, which is NU, and then like Little Cup, which are all the little Pokemon and stuff. So you have different tiers for each different metagame, and a lot of people indulge in it, and it's great fun. Now you're probably wondering, does football have something like this? Yeah. Have you heard of the Premier League, the Champions League, League 2, League 1, Coventry, all that shit? These things are tiers in what's so-called the metagame for football. Football also has like a transfer window, which is where, players will be swapped and sold to other people. And, these footballers will go out, do the best they can to be the best they can be for each game. Pretty nerdy if you think about it. And while this is all happening, you'll have like, commentators, who's talking about before, while and after the game, going really in depth on, what the players have, done, how they could have played it better, or, what they think of like how the players did. And, you have all the statistics, you have like possession statistics, the score, as per usual, you got a lot, they put a lot of effort into showing you all of the intellectual shit that goes on behind football. Now, football, in a sense, was an easy target. Let's talk about something that isn't a game. Let's talk about music. Music is something that everyone usually enjoys. If you don't enjoy music, then I don't know what the fuck's going on, but everyone enjoys music, at least to some extent. But what if I told you that you could hold nerdy traits from indulging yourself in music to a certain extent? Let's compare it to Pokemon again. So Pokemon has these abbreviated phrases, IVs and EVs. IVs are a thing that are on each individual stat of a Pokemon. Each stat has 31, so like attack, defense, special attack, special defense, speed. They all have 31. They can all have a maximum of 31 IVs in it, and they are usually randomly generated, I believe. And then there's EVs, which are called effort values. Effort values are when your Pokemon fights another Pokemon. Each individual Pokemon has different EV stats. So you would have, maybe, I'm not 100% sure on this, but it's like just say Pidgey gives off a single EV stat. If you get 4 of an EV stat into one Pokemon, their actual stat goes up by 1 each time. And each individual stack can have 252 in it, but the cap for one Pokemon is somewhere in the 500s, so you can't have like 252 in each stack, because that would be overpowered. People will grind for hours just to make sure that their Pokemon are the best they can be for competitive play. If you want to know more about stuff like, EVs, IVs, natures and all that shit, then check the description. I'll add some, videos, like intellectual videos about Pokemon and all that shit. Now let's talk about music. According to dictionary.com, music is vocal or instrumental sounds, or both, combined in such a way as to produce beauty or form, harmony and expression of emotion. In a normal sense, singing is not a nerdy thing to indulge yourself into, just casually singing. Even if you think you have a traditionally good voice, then that isn't really a nerdy thing to do. But if you're learning an instrument, then that is something that is extremely nerdy. You have to learn the ins and outs of the instrument, know what the chords are. If you want to go a step further and get into a group or a band, then there's a lot more things come into play and a lot more stuff that you need to be doing. For example, there are 4 different types of singer in a choir. There are basses, there are tenors, there are sopranos, and there are altos. The men take up the basses and the tenors. The basses are the lower singing men, and the tenors are the higher singing men. And the women take up the altos and sopranos. The altos being the lower singing women, and the sopranos being the higher singing women. There are also other kind of like places you can be. Like I know of one which is the fucking shit. There we go, remember. The baritone, which is a person who is in between the basses and the tenors. If that doesn't convince you, then music has its own goddamn language. Kinda. Music has, been using sheet music for a long time, and of course you have to learn how to read sheet music in order to actually get what it says, or what you need to play. And if you're a nerd, then you are partial to learning a new language or two. Music doesn't really have a meta game, because it's not a game, but have you ever gone to see a musical or ever gone to see a band play? Well, they are pretty much the meta of music, as they have to get so many people together, the technical staff, the instruments, the acting, and musical wise, and they have to put on a great show for you guys, and they put a lot of effort into every single line that is said, the story. A band, you have a lot of instruments, you have the vocals, a lot of things are put together to make production a reality.
Many music terms I can think of on the top of my head include falsetto, forte, piano, canon, treble and bass clefs, and that's just some of them. I mean, look at all of these on the screen right now. Oh really, Megan, you think you're all about that bass? Well, if you look over here, then you clearly can see that you're a fucking lying whore!
All jokes aside, I hope the point that I'm trying to make has come across. So the revelation should be that you are a nerd. Congratulations and welcome. I hope you enjoy your stay, because I am surely enjoying mine.